Good to have you on Models and Agents, episode 102 for July 5th, 2026. Your daily AI briefing. Your daily briefing on the AI models and agents that are changing everything. And no, not those kinds of models and agents. Let's get into it. Coding Agents just saved a production library release by catching 5 release blocking bugs that the author missed at an estimated $149 cost. Simon Willison ran Claude Fable through a final pre-release review of sqlite-utils 4.0 RC1. The agent produced a report that flagged 5 release blockers. One example was a delete where method that never committed and left the connection in an open transaction state. Over 37 prompts and 34 commits, the agent rewrote transaction handling so every write method now commits automatically unless an explicit atomic or begin context is active. It also added DB begin, commit, and rollback helpers, plus updated documentation for Python 3.12 auto-commit connections. 2 further edge cases in DB query surfaced during a follow-up GPT 5.5 review and were fixed. The full effort cost an estimated $149.25 on the Claude Max plan. This week's model updates start with a new adapter for the Qwen family, a 10 megabyte LoRa on Qwen 3.5 to 4b. Reads internal activations to decide whether to answer directly, call web search, or retrieve from local documents. It refuses to fabricate when verification fails and improved error detection by d'Prime 0.46. Private queries sent to public search dropped from 22% to 10%. The adapter runs locally via MLX on Apple Silicon or GGUF in llama.cpp or Ollama, and ships under Apache 2.0 with full weights and training code. Next, Junyang Lin, the former technical lead on Qwen, published an essay on hybrid thinking limits. He described where Qwen 3 hybrid thinking modes and dynamic budgets fell short in practice. Lin now favors agentic reinforcement learning infrastructure over further reasoning mode tuning. The piece highlights reward hacking risks that appear once agent trajectories lengthen and the added difficulty of building stable agent training loops versus single-turn reasoning. A separate guide on MarkTech Post surveys open source models that convert enterprise PDFs, scans, and slide decks into schema-driven JSON on local hardware. The guide separates the schema-driven extraction problem from the layout and table problem. It positions these tools as the default path for feeding document data into agents without sending content to external APIs. Teams still manually parsing PDFs should evaluate the listed models for their specific schema needs this week. The survey covers current open source models available for local hardware inference. Source: MarkTech Post. 3 agent and tool developments landed this week. LlamaIndex released a public legal capital KB reference app that gives agents file-system style access to a document store. The tools include retrieve for hybrid search, find, read, and grep with automatic per-file versioning and visual citations. The stack uses TanStack Start, AISDK 6-tool loop agent, Prisma, and WorkOS. Anthropic released Claude Science Beta on June 30th, 2026. It runs on existing Claude models with a coordinating agent that delegates to domain specialists and a reviewer agent that corrects citations and numbers. Every figure ships with exact code, environment, and full message history. Compute is managed across local machines, HPC over SSH, and modal with connections to more than 60 databases and NVIDIA BioNeMo. NVIDIA introduced the Horizon Agent Framework. Horizon hosts each RTL problem as a versioned Git repository and evolves work trees autonomously. It reached 100% completion across the benchmark suite without manual intervention between iterations. The hands-free design removes manual intervention between iterations. Hardware teams evaluating agent-driven RTL flows should examine the repository structure for integration patterns. Source: MarkTech Post. In the Practical and Community section, Tensy offers a visual editor that validates tensor shapes, counts parameters, and estimates flops and VRAM while designing networks. It supports 63 operations with proper shape inference and exports runnable PyTorch code under the MIT license. A new semantic compression proposal treats context compression as progressive noise, so models first read a coarse outline, then progressively finer slices. Early tests with qwent 2.5 to 7b show the pipeline is viable but not yet reliable end-to-end. The author seeks collaborators for position-aware fine-tuning. The approach preserves non-local structure that retrieval or simple compaction would drop. It was presented on r/machine learning, source reddit.com. USAF enables fine-tuning of only sparse expert weights and the router of mixture of experts models. Users can fine-tune qwent3 to 30B A3B on a 12GB AMD RX 6750 XT that can already run inference. The method is released under Apache 2.0 with full code and weights. MoE practitioners on consumer GPUs should test whether the sparse update path matches their accuracy targets. It was shared on r/machine learning, source reddit.com. Okay, let's pop the hood on tool schema adherence in frontier models. Newer models are not automatically better at tool use because schema adherence is a separate capability that can regress even as reasoning improves. The core issue appears when models trained heavily on one vendor's edit tool schema begin emitting extra invented keys inside nested arrays. The harness rejects the call even though the intended edit is correct. This adds a retry loop that costs both latency and tokens. The failure rate rises with the strongest models in the family rather than falling. Reinforcement learning on the vendor's own harness improves performance inside that harness, but reduces robustness on third-party schemas. Teams therefore face a concrete choice between adopting the vendor's native tool format and accepting lock-in or maintaining multiple parallel tool definitions and routing calls by model family. The regression often surfaces only after production agents have already been upgraded to the newest checkpoint. If you haven't tried the competence gate LoRa on qwent 3.5 to 4b yet, this week is a good time to test it on any workflow that must refuse unverifiable answers. Clone the LlamaIndex legal-kb repo and wire its retrieve, find, read, and grep tools into a small compliance agent to see hybrid retrieval in action. Test Tensy on your next network design to catch shape mismatches before launching training jobs. Request access to Claude Science Beta if your work involves genomics or chemi-informatics pipelines that need full provenance for every figure. July 7th marks the end of subsidized Claude Fable access for Mac subscribers. More teams are expected to publish internal confidence adapters after the qwent 3.5 to 4b release. NVIDIA's Horizon results will likely trigger similar autonomous work tree agents for other hardware description languages. Tomorrow, keep an eye on the first public reports from teams testing the competence gate approach on production document workflows. That wraps up today's AI briefing. Share this with a developer or builder who wants to stay current. Subscribe wherever you listen. See you tomorrow. And if you'd rather watch than listen, find us on YouTube at Nera Network. Links in the show notes. And before you go, this show is part of the Nera Network, a family of daily podcasts on tech, science, and markets. Each one a short, sharp briefing you can finish on the commute. If today earned its place in your feed, here's your next listen. Unintended consequences. True stories of good intentions that backfired. Find every show free at neranetwork.com. This episode used AI voice synthesis of my voice. Editorial selection and analysis are my own.